Hello to all you miniatures lovers on the internet. It is a Monday, and I'm here to ramble about miniatures. It's in fact Monday the 28th of December 2020, closing in on the end of the year. And as always, we're starting out with finished minis. Now, you might have noticed that I didn't have a midweek ramble at Christmas like I thought I might. Plans change sometimes. But anyway, so these were technically not done by Christmas. They're a little late, but they're not, super late. There's one that is, but we'll get to that later. So these three are, from the left, we have Mrs. Klaus serving up some cookies and some hot cocoa. And very simply painted, just red and white. I tried freehanding some sort of pattern on her apron, but I gave up on it. It just wasn't happening. And then we have Krampus, and this version of Krampus is really nasty because he's got this cage on his back, and you can see there's children in there. He's got the naughty children in there. You see hands and feet poking out, and you can glimpse some faces in there. But he also has some holly on there to bring some Christmas cheer. And he's got some candy canes to lure the kids in. Fun guy. And finally, the Dreidel Golem. Now, I personally don't know much about dreidels. Looking them up online, they're all various shades of brown, and it was hard to paint in an interesting way. And also, when I looked at what I did was I used different shades of brown and some metallics to get some variety in there. And on the base, there's some chests and some what looked like small barrels, and I just added some color to those to give it some sort of pop. I have no idea what these little things on the base are supposed to be, but splashes of color to make it stand out a little bit more. And I the top part can sit in the bottom dish in a number of different ways. I could have done it like vertically, just straight up. I chose to tilt it a little bit to represent the fact that this is the function of this object is it's a top, it's a spinning top, and so it's leaning a little bit here. Just give some dynamism to the figure. So those were the Christmas themed 3 minis I got finished this week. Let's see what else. I also got done with this little selection of miniatures from Stonehaven Miniatures. These are 3 halves orcs, a lizard person, a bird person, and a gnome, I think. These were a little experimental. I wanted to get these done relatively quickly, so I used some new paints that I got from a Kickstarter by Scale 75. They launched a new line of paints they called Alchemy paints, which are essentially contrast paints. Their version of GW's contrast paints. And so these are largely painted with contrast paints. Not all of it. I mean, the hair is not done that way, or the skin, or the flame here, obviously, or the metallics. But otherwise, most of the clothing is done in these kind of contrast-like paints. And I don't know. I mean, it gives quick results, and it looks okay. It doesn't look great. We have this classical splotchy look on some open areas, which you get from that sort of paint. Now these look a bit glossy. This is because I'm so close to completion on these. The matte varnish has not had time to fully dry yet. Also, the hard lighting kind of accentuates the gloss, but they look okay on the tabletop. Yeah, I mean, for run-of-the-mill, like, opponents, I suppose these paints work. Oh, fine. I would not use this technique for character pieces, for, you know, a player character, or some model that I wanted to put a bit more care into. But, like, you know, for ordinary goons or NPCs, it's okay, I think. Doesn't look too bad. So those were the finished 9 figures. There is quite a lot in various stages of work, though, so we're going to move on to that. So the only figure that I really started last time that is not finished this week is perhaps the most Christmassy of them all. It's this big Sophie miniature. And, oh, there's even a new splotch there. That's a mistake. I have to paint over that. I hadn't seen that before. I mean, she's kind of... Parts of her are done. What's left to finish is mostly the clothing. The parts of the clothes that are not metallic. And finishing up the skin and the face. So I'm running into issues with painting something this big, is that my normal amount of shade and highlight isn't cutting it. It looks too drastic, and so I've had to paint and repaint and paint over a lot of stuff, because at this scale you have to be much more subtle. And one issue is that a metal model has trouble having a totally even surface. There's a lot of pits and divots, and it's really obvious on large exposed surfaces like her legs. Now I don't know if you can tell because the lighting is very harsh here, but yeah, she looks like she has a lot of cellulite. And I'm not really sure what to do about that. But there's gonna have to be a lot more glazing on the skin to bring out. I don't know if it really needs more shade. That's the thing, especially with female skin. You have to be careful with that. And then my other question is with her face. I went with... I'm not sure about the eyeshadow and the lips, because I went with the cold color because everything else on this miniature is very warm, and I thought I needed some contrast. Well, the green is cold, but everything else is warm essentially. Oh, and the white is a blue-gray white, so that's also cold, but mostly warm. That's what I'm trying to say. So I got this light purple. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. Same shade on the lips and on the eyes. I'm not sure if that pops enough, if that's the right way to go. Let me know what you think. Should I add some pink? Should I warm that up? Should I go with even colder with blue? I'm not sure. But I'm pretty happy with the hair. And that's it. I still have to do, like I said, the skin and the leather. I'll do the leather first, and I'll probably there's some spots on the fur where I have to clean it up as well, and save the touch up on the skin for the very last portions I do, because they'll be the most difficult. We'll have to see if I'm done by New Year's with this one. No promises. Well, here you can see the next stage of Nyarlathotep. He has been airbrushed a lot. First primer, black primer, straight up, with that set, and then some base coats. Well, some base coat and one highlight. I've had, there's a dark purple, I think it's a Game Color Royal Purple, I believe I did, as the base for the body, and then one highlight of Game Air Alien Purple. And I think a couple of different reds. I think a deep red, it didn't catch very much here on the underside, and a more of a candy red as a highlight on top. I forget which colors. And just a couple of browns versus very dark brown, and then a medium brown for the base. So, you know, it looks pretty good as is, but of course I will work more at it and add more layers of color in it. Well, say hello to the frog people who have been prepped and primed in green. Also, we have the Neanderthal who, I don't know if green is really a good base color for him, but he wound up in this batch, so he'll have to make do with that primer. I'll paint over it with other colors, of course. But yeah, just my normal simple basing technique, and nothing special here. Yeah, not much to say about these really. And finally, the ones that are in slightly earlier stages of prep are these Lizard Folk, Demogorgon, Komodo Dragon. Haven't gotten as far with these yet. They still need some basing work. A lot more basing work in this case before I prime them. But, you know, that should happen within the next day or two, probably. So we'll see what happens in next episode. This Christmas, I surprised myself by impulse buying some minis I don't actually need. I got a whole bunch of stuff from the Achtung Cthulhu line. I've painted a bunch of these before. Not these particular minis, I got the ones that I lacked, of course. We have the Bloodborne, the Chthonians, Night Gaunts, and I believe Cultists of the Old Gods. And also the Migo Expedition Pack with a whole 9 dudes. So there's 9, 12, 15, 21 minis. I got them because they were going out of stock at my local retailer, and I figured I might as well pick them up while the getting's good. Modifius have not supported this line a whole lot recently, so I'm a little worried that it might go away, or well, maybe they'll come back when they do the new edition of the RPG. I mean, the basic Achtung Cthulhu RPG they've released has been based on Call of Cthulhu 6th edition, but they're doing a new edition based on their own 2D20 system. That might be interesting to try out. But in any case, I felt that the completist in me had to add to my collection. But I actually don't feel any particular urge to start painting these guys right away. I'm gonna put these away for a rainy day, and I will probably be tempted to buy even more of the current range, just to, again, for the completist in me. I just gotta collect them all. That's the bane of my existence, my urge to collect. But anyway, as I said, I'm putting these aside for the moment. But let's add some other stuff to the queue. I actually have 2 projects I want to add into the lineup. One is to continue with the large beasts from the Bones 4 Kickstarter. This is one of the last of the add-ons. This is the Dragon Turtle, and it is a huge dragon turtle. They do have a smaller dragon turtle mini in Bones, but I've painted that a long time ago. This guy, I start prepping this guy for when Nyarlathotep is finished. So I have something else of a similar size to work on. The other thing I want to start up is a complete change of pace, because it's been all fantasy for a while now and all monsters. So how about some modern day characters? I have these Alice minis from Hassle-Free. We have Alice with Cat, which I've painted once actually. I believe I've painted this exact model as normal Alice, as the like Disney cartoon Alice. But then there's Problem Alice, who has a big knife. There's Bunny Alice, who has a bunny and a gun. And there's FUUK Alice, who is kind of similar. There's not a lot of difference between her and Bunny Alice. I don't know if there is any difference at all, really. But they do have different codes. So not sure what to do there. But my idea is, with at least this Alice and Problem Alice, to paint well, at least some of these as Evil Alice, the Dark Alice from the paint scheme from the video games. See if that works. It's kind of difficult because the cat in that is kind of skeletal, not this fat roly-poly thing. But so it's not going to fit completely. But oh well. Let's see what I come up with for these. Not sure if we're going to do it. I mean, these ones are not wearing a traditional Alice in Wonderland dress. They're wearing some sort of just tight evening gown sort of thing, like a sheath. I'm not sure if that fits with the theme, but we'll see. I'll come up with something. Anyway, something different for the new year. That is the point. And speaking of the new year, there will probably be an episode, a wrap-up episode for the year on New Year's or thereabouts this time around. There was no midweek episode last week, as I mentioned, but there will be one this week, because it's a tradition that's sort of fallen by the wayside the past couple of years. I think my first 3 years I did wrap-up videos at New Year's, summarizing the whole year that had gone by. But then in 2018 and 19, I had regular episodes. New Year's was very close to a Monday on those years, so I sort of combined it. I did the regular episode as a wrap-up. But that's not really the case this year. I mean, we have this episode, which is pretty far in advance of New Year's, and then the next one is pretty far after. New Year's is in the middle of the week. So yeah, there will be a midweek ramble. This time I'm sure of it. Probably on the 31st, and there won't be super much progress by then. I don't think, but some anyway. So be sure to keep an eye out for that in your subscription feed. And yeah, that was it for this Monday. So just give this episode a like and comment and subscribe and all that other stuff you know about. So till next time, this is Doc Eon signing off.